Good evening. My name is Jamie Lenhart, and I want to welcome you back to A Table for One. So this is our second episode in our new web series. And since our last video, I've gotten some email and some communication that I wanted to share with you just for fun, and also answer one quick question. And that question I've been asked multiple times. And yes, those are my children in the intro. When I got everything out, they wanted to take part and film a video. So we filmed that little intro and they had a blast doing it. Now, the big thing I wanted to share was something that really impacted me actually just yesterday. And I got an email from one of our missionaries. I can't tell you who it is or where they're from, or where they are, I should say, just for their protection, just because of what they're doing. But I can tell you that they said it was really fun getting to watch the video, hear a little bit about somebody that's within, as they view as part of their church, even though they're separate. And they're really looking forward to the next videos. And, you know, it meant a lot to me because it means a lot for anybody to be watching this right now. But to know that somebody connected with us, but a long ways away, liked what we're doing and interacted with it just was awesome. So thank you for that email. It meant a lot to me. I also got to chat with my Uncle Robert Purcelli, my Uncle Bob, and he said that he's actually already had people reach out to him and he's starting the process working with some people. So that is great, and I want you to know the offer is still on the table. So if you have not reached out to him, just check out last week's video, and you can get his email address, email him, and start that process. The other person I want to thank is Pam Lanning, because Pam, you were the first person to respond to anything from the video, and it was like right away. So, I mean, you had to have watched that right away, and thank you. It meant a lot. It was very encouraging in this process. So those are just the little tidbits from me. I do have just a few announcements that I wanted to share with you, starting with something that was announced this last Sunday during our church service. And that was Steve announced that we're trying to do something to help support our larger community. That in this time right now, it's been really challenging for everyone, but it's been really, really challenging for small business owners. That they are not having the sales and the funds sometimes for their own families, but also often they have employees and staff that they're also responsible for. So what we want to encourage everybody to do and to try is this Saturday, we want to do a support your local business day. So find a way to support a business. It could be buying a meal. It could be getting a haircut. I don't know. But whatever we can do to help support them and know that we're caring for them also would be wonderful. I know I had the experience of managing a business through the last recession we had. And I got to see front and center what that's like to be responsible for all these people and the payroll and their livelihoods. And it's a lot of stress. And so any way that we can help someone else is just another way we get to bless them in the mission that we have of touching our community. Also, Daniel has been developing a new small group process for people. That basically what it comes down to is there are those of us that maybe are feeling disconnected. We aren't having the communication. We're not having the Bible studies that we're used to. So what he has created is a digital small group method that we can join up with different groups to chat about the sermons, things like that, through things like Zoom. So if that's something you're interested in, contact the office. So either call or email at info@springfieldfaithcenter.org, and they will get you connected with who you need to be connected with. So that's our new kind of digital small groups that we're trying to do. Also, you're probably watching this through Facebook. That's kind of been our big medium for these videos, both the main service and things like this. But also we leverage the site YouTube. And I want to encourage you, if you haven't checked it out, go to YouTube, search for Springfield Faith Center, and you'll find the Springfield Faith Center channel. That's where all of our videos are stored. It's a great place to be able to find past videos, and also you'll get notified if you subscribe You'll be notified of any new videos that get uploaded. It's just a great resource so they don't get lost in that news feed. And then last of all, next week I want to try something a little different. So last week and this week, I uploaded the video so it came live at 6:30 for everybody to watch. Next week, what we're going to do is we're going to try to live stream it. I won't be live on the video. I will be live in the chats. So it's just a way for people to watch and then interact while it's going on. So it's something we're going to try. If it doesn't work, we get rid of it. That's okay. But I thought it might be something interesting to attempt and see if people want to interact in that way at that time. So again, that'll be at 6:30 like normal. Now, as we go forward, let's take a moment like we did last week and do our meditation moment, our centering time. So that term might be weird to some people. This isn't some new agey thing. Honestly, all the new age stuff stole this from ancient practices. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a section of scripture and focus our minds on that and still our hearts and our minds and just focus on God for a minute. Technically 30 seconds. And just let some of the anxiety and the stressors of today just kind of wash away as we focus on Him. So what we're going to do is we're going to look in the book of Proverbs. It's going to be Proverbs chapter 3, verses 21 through 26. And I'm going to read out the NASB again, and I'll bring the words up here. It goes like this. My son, let them not vanish from your sight. Keep sound wisdom and discretion, so they will be life to your soul and adornment to your neck. Then you will walk in your way securely, and your foot will not stumble. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. Do not be afraid of sudden fear, nor of the onslaught of the wicked when it comes. For the Lord will be your confidence, and will keep your foot from being caught. So what I believe the Spirit is saying for us at this time is that we must hold fast to that wisdom we are given through His Spirit. And by that wisdom, we have discernment of what is real and what is not. And that when we use that wisdom and that discernment, that it will keep us safe in the things that we do, but it will also give us the rejuvenation and the rest we need when we slumber, because anxiety and worry won't override. That we need Him, and that in the end, He will be our confidence and will keep us safe. So let's just take a moment, just 30 seconds, as we center ourselves, just planting our feet firmly on the floor, sitting up straight and breathing deeply. And just remember that that God is our source of wisdom. And if we center our eyes on Him and lock our sights onto Him, we can have the discernment to know what is real and what is not. So let's just take 30 seconds. So this week, we have somebody that I've gotten to get to know more over the last couple years. And it's somebody that you will see around doing all sorts of things. She loves being busy. She loves serving. Actually, she was one of the first people to volunteer when we started up the table a couple years ago. She jumped in, said, I'll take on the kitchen, which, let's be honest, that was a monumental undertaking. And she served us for a full year, cooking wonderful meals and just caring for everyone. So this week, we're going to chat with Susan Cumming and what she is learning and experiencing in this time as she has an adult daughter that has moved home. So let's pick up this conversation. I hope you enjoy. Susan, thank you for being with us tonight.
Jamie, it's my pleasure. I also want to say congratulations to you. 2 years now you've been running the table. I think your experiment is working.
It kind of is. Thank you.
Okay.
And this is now just a new rendition. It seems like so.
Yes. Always adapting.
Always adapting. Well, I'm excited that you're with us, Susan, because also you were one of the first people with the table too. You did the kitchen for us for so long.
I can't believe it, but yes.
Well, since not everybody may know you, I have just a couple questions to kind of get the ball rolling, and then a few things that we wanted to talk about. The first question I had for you: what would you say was the most challenging yet rewarding part of raising two daughters?
Well, let's correct that to three.
Oh, three? Oh my gosh, I did not know. Three daughters. Okay, that's a whole lot of daughters in the house. Um,
As
I
my
feel sorry
husband
for
said,
Roger right now. I will be
a lot
honest.
of estrogen. Yes.
So
There were
what would you
certain
say the most challenging yet rewarding part of that was?
my expectations of what having daughters would be. I expected they would share my interests in cooking. I love to cook, uh, decorating, or things of that sort, but even things like hiking, bicycling, outdoors. They were not all cut from the same cloth, and none of them resembled me in the kinds of activities that I liked. Hmm, got a problem. There
Okay,
was
no.
also the idea of thinking that they would all get along. That did not happen.
Mm.
In fact, they're still working it out, and they're in their 30s.
Yeah, yeah. I kids are interesting. I'm just learning it on the early stages of how unique each child is, and it surprises me sometimes of sometimes what I would expect being a parent, and then the reality sometimes are very different. Yet sometimes just like, oh, that's basically what I expected this was going to be like. It's weird. It's a weird combination of both those elements. I don't know. Um, so, Susan, how do you prefer to connect with God in your personal life?
I need to be by myself, and fortunately, I'm the early riser in the family. Getting up at 5 is sort of my normal, and that means that I have 3 to 3.5 hours of quiet time. Not that I use the whole thing. And there's a great deal of just hashing out what I am dealing with at the moment. Also, there'll be times when I just simply go out for a walk.
Hmm.
So we've got 3 dogs in the family. Dogs always love a walk. Dogs love when I take a walk. Hence, I get my alone time that way too.
Nice, nice. So you've been helping out with something for a little while now. With it's a sometimes we call it a parachurch organization, but it's within the MOPS organization, and it's called Moms Next. I
Yes.
just learned about it this year because my wife did a little bit in MOPS for just a little bit, and my mom has been helping out with MOPS. But what exactly is Moms Next?
Moms Next is a continuation of the MOPS ministry. Typically, MOPS is for parents who have preschool age children, hence the name MOPS. And once your child goes into kindergarten, it's expected that you'll form your groups elsewhere and you no longer are part of MOPS. Moms Next fits that need for moms who still have a great desire to connect with other moms with children of that age. So it's
Hmm.
anywhere from kindergarten, it could be through high school.
Oh,
It's
okay.
simply for the need of the mom to connect with other moms. And I function in the capacity of a mentor mom. I did it with MOPS, and when Moms Next splintered off, they needed someone to move with them, and I really felt the calling on my heart to do that.
That's great. That's you know. I love hearing about these groups that are just their focus is building connection for people. It's something that to me is really important. It's one of the reasons why we do the table. It's but
Mm.
it's it's one of those things that I think in today's age we think we get more connection than we do till we suddenly realize that we're not connected with people. Um,
No more than now. Oh my goodness.
exactly.
Oh my goodness. We're at like in a poverty of connection right now.
Yeah, yeah, and and that's I know it's been hard for a lot of people, and I know for a lot of parents and a lot of moms that that is, you're having that connection, especially when you're like a stay-at-home mom, of having that connection of other people in that like situation can be so important. That's an awesome thing that you're being a mentor for people in. Um,
It's tremendously valuable for me. I know that I hear the feedback from them, what it means for them. I don't think they grasp how essential it is for me to know that, yes, I have children of a certain age, and these moms are about that age, but I'm not mothering them. I'm simply enjoying the time of life they're in, available to be a resource. I simply enjoy them because I have no I have no history with them. Isn't that a terrible thing to say?
I think
Like,
it
I
makes
know who
sense.
you really are.
It's like when I used to work with youth groups. I mean, it's kind of like I love high schoolers, and then parents are going, "You aren't around for all the other stuff." I'm like, I
Yeah.
know.
Do you live with them?
So, actually, with you saying you have your kids are the age of these moms. Um,
Yes.
the other thing that you have going on right now is one of your daughters recently had to move home because of everything going on. So,
Yes.
and I know that God's been really doing some stuff in you, and we wanted to talk about that a little bit. So, what's been going on in your home and in your life right now?
A lot of togetherness, yeah? Let's say there's always a honeymoon phase where everyone is really on their best behavior, and that happens within families too. Whenever there's a new change, something unexpected as this has been,
Hmm.
I don't think we go right into, "Oh my gosh, this isn't working. I can't handle this." I think you make the most of it because you believe it's not gonna last that long.
Yeah.
So, our honeymoon phase has come to an end, and what we have is, a daughter whose tastes and, interests lie elsewhere. I referred to that earlier. She and I do connect on a lot of levels. But when it comes to entertainment, to name one, no, not at all. No way. And yet, she looks for ways to draw me into her world as she allows me to draw her into mine. So there's a respect of, okay, I'll check it out. But what I've had to learn is to simply let her live her own life her own way and to step away from being a mother and correcting.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things that kind of rise up in my throat, and I just kind of push them back down and say, the dogs need a walk, don't you? Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'll be right back. So I'll go out and I'll process. And sometimes it's a case of my values are just uh, they're at a certain place, and
Hmm.
they're very well presented. They're clear, and she's a very new believer. One thing that God impressed upon me when I was taking one of my legendary walks was, okay, Susan, so let's review this salvation experience for you. You were what, 28 going on 29, and you got married when you were 32 and started having your children at 34. And when exactly was it that you started studying the Bible and applying yourself toward being a follower of me? Oh, 6 years, huh? 6 years. Okay. So that humbled me a lot. And I love memory because it's not just, the sweet memories of someone who may not be with us anymore or a wonderful time that you shared with a friend.
Yeah.
But I like memories of even my shameful things or things I'm not terribly proud of because it humbles me. It
Hmm.
brings me from well, this is the way I think everybody should live back into, yet I didn't even live this way back in
Hmm.
the day. The operative word for me is grace. And the way I inhabit it is to remember who I was and how God has changed me.
Hmm. Hmm.
Another operative word is confident expectation, but not in who I am going to be or who my daughter is going to be, but in God's process of making us into the image that He's already got in mind.
Yeah.
So I could see that He's done a lot of work in my life, and I praise Him for that. So now I get to step back and give room for Him to do the same in her life.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Well, you mentioned something to me when we were talking about setting up this meeting, and I like how you put it. Is that you said you could manage your house in much with the picture of the autocratic manager, or you can provide that leadership in your house with having an adult daughter coming home, and I loved that differentiation you made.
There is a sense of ownership that I have about my home,
Hmm.
and I run it well, but I also have to give room for people to do something their way and allow a different slant, a different flavor. Even when it comes to cooking,
Hmm.
we we like different things, and that's not even the problem. It's just the time of night that we might be. Oh, really? Oh, I kind of call this breakfast almost. So, or for her, the night starts going about 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock is when my eyes start shutting. So we will watch a TV show together, and she'll look over and she'll go, "Mom, oh, okay, what just happened?"
Sounds like you got a night owl on your hands
Oh
there.
yeah,
Yeah, there's many a night my wife is already asleep and I'm still up doing things I don't.
yeah.
When you said up at 5 a.m., I'm just like, oh, for the love of God, no.
I know, I know. It's a beautiful time of morning, but I don't recommend it for everyone, and I don't recommend it for anyone else in my house because I like it to myself.
So, no, and that's part of what I love hearing that you're learning in this too is something I think that's also applicable beyond even the state that you're in right now with an adult daughter. That it's even something that sometimes it's hard for us to learn, but it's even I think helpful uh, for parents that have teenage kids that are also they're all bumping into each other right now of as they're stepping into that adulthood and that individuality of how do you make the transition from the parent that manages everything
Yeah.
to the parent that gently guides and leads their family. That's a hard transition.
Gosh, Jamie, you make it sound so like, yes, like there's this transition. If only we would read the roadmap and find the steps. No, no, no. It's brutal. It's brutal because you bump up against yourself and the way and your expectations of what it was going to be like to be a parent. And then in the meantime, these kids are growing up and they've got their own ideas of how to do things. And it's like, and inside I'm going, oh no, you don't. And it's like, who is this person? I don't yell. I become a yeller. I don't physically grab. I am on the verge of shaking her into oblivion. Oh my gosh, who is this person? So I had to come to a place of realizing and I'm not saying this is something every parent can take away, My takeaway was how in control I like to be.
Mm,
So
mm,
God gave me a daughter who fought me every inch of the way on it. And she knew she was doing it because she wanted to see, would mom and dad love her as much as the easier sisters? She gave us a run for our money. So it didn't make it any easier, but it kind of put the lights on.
mm-hmm.
But I had a lot of sessions, and Roger and I had a lot of sessions with Pastor Steve. Oh, he saved us. He saved our family. But it was also God breaking in. And, one of those walks and me just hashing it out with him, crying, just literally crumpling on the ground, going, I can't do this anymore. And he taught me what unconditional love was, to unhook my expectations, my agenda, and my need for things to turn out as I wanted them to,
Mm-hmm.
place her and even my own life back in his hands. So, had I done that when they were younger, well, it might have been a different ending. But really, Jamie, how can you learn a lesson that early when the meat of the lesson doesn't come until later? So I don't have regrets about the timing of it. I am absolutely overjoyed that she and I can live in the same house. This couldn't have happened a few years ago. So we might have lived in the same house, but one would be upstairs and one would be downstairs. One would be inside, one would be outside. So we do really get along, and we talk about it. We talk about how different we are. But God had to break me, and he used a daughter just like her to break me, of thinking that I was skilled, resourceful, creative, adaptive. I could make this happen. Oh, no, you couldn't. Not in this case. So he used her to make me into the child that he could then continue to mold and adapt and create into his image.
That is a beautiful statement. Susan, I want to thank you so much for being willing to share that with us.
Welcome.
It's obviously it's very personal. It's very much who you are, where you've been, but I think hearing that story can be very encouraging to other people that maybe are kind of in similar situations right now, and struggling with how we handle these interpersonal relationships in our family. And I just want to thank you for being willing to sit down and share that. And I I think I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I think we'll probably wrap up. And thank you so much for spending time with me today.
Thank you for the invitation, Jamie. It's been a pleasure.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation. I know I did. But before we go, I just have two things I want to leave with you for you to digest, maybe discuss at home or with someone else. And it's just in two little elements of what she talked about. The first one is, she would go and grab her dogs and go for a walk, or like my uncle would go kayaking, or my wife and I even will give each other timeouts. And it's basically a way to detach from what's going on, maybe calm ourselves a little bit, to think about things in a less reactionary manner. A centering, you could say. And I want to encourage you that that is an area that often, in times of stress and difficulty, seem to go by the wayside. Sometimes we have practices that we do. It could be reading scripture, it could just be going for a walk, whatever it may be. But when things get tumultuous, we forget to do that. And so take a little bit of time, evaluate for yourself, am I doing these things that I need for my self-care and for my connection with God and for the betterment of the people around me and myself? And if there maybe need to be adjustments, maybe you talk with your family, talk with those around you, and find out how to preserve that and make that happen for you, so that this time is not just a trying time, but it's actually a time that you grow in a way that you didn't expect. And second of all, Susan talked about really an idea of adjusting expectations. Because she had how she was going to live her life right now in this season, and that has changed. It's changed for all of us, and it's changed for her in this big way of having her daughter move home, who obviously she loves, but it's her adult daughter. And that means she has ways she lives, and Susan has ways she lives, and they may not be exactly the same. And right now in our own lives, we have expectations, big expectations, mundane expectations. But in a time like this, they may not all be the best. Some may be good and should be maintained, but some may need to be adjusted. So I'd encourage you to do something that I've been doing. And that is to look at what are the expectations I have for myself, for my kids, for my family, and say, is this the right expectation at this time, or do I need to make an adjustment? Do I need to tweak it a little bit? So that health comes out of this, not frustration and anxiety. So those are two things for you to just mull over and maybe talk with the people around you and get their insight and maybe find out how we can facilitate that for one another. Otherwise, I want to thank you for joining us again this week, and check us out next week, again, Wednesday at 6:30 as we stream the next episode of A Table for One. Otherwise, have a wonderful week.